Today, we're going to be talking about John Locke. No, not that John Locke. This John Locke, the Enlightenment philosopher. Presented to you by the Johnny Lockets.
John Locke, the English philosopher, not the lost character, was born in Rington, United Kingdom on August 29, 1632. Locke's father was a country lawyer and served as a captain in the English Civil War. Because of his father's connections to the English government, Locke received a better education. In 1647, Locke went to Westminster School in London. From Westminster School, he went to Christ Church, Oxford in the autumn of 1652 at the age of 20. Fun fact, aside from philosophy, Locke also studied medicine and even served as a physician.
Another fact is that Locke had to flee England due to his alleged involvement in the Rye House plot and ended up living in the Netherlands. The Rye House plot of 1683 was a plan to assassinate King Charles II of England and his brother James, the Duke of York, because of their pro-Roman Catholic policies, which ultimately failed.
Today, we're going to be talking about John Locke.
Thanks, Mark. Nice yard. Locke published 2 treatises on civil government. The first one essentially responded to the work of another political theorist, Sir Robert Filmer, who wrote Patriarcha. In Patriarcha, Filmer essentially defended the divine right of kings, the belief that every king is descended from Adam and has the divine right to rule. Locke refuted this idea by claiming that it goes against common sense and that there is no historical evidence that supports this lineage.
Locke published his second treatise on civil government in 1690. In this book, he describes the state of nature, arguing that all men are created equal by God.
To quote Locke himself, he said that, and I quote, "All men by nature are equal in that equal right that every man hath to his natural freedom, without being subjected to the will or authority of any other man, being all equal and independent. No one ought to harm another in his life, health, liberty, or possessions."
Locke's idea of the state of nature relies on the idea of equality being derived from a state of morality based on the theological concept of the Christian divinity of man. Wow, that is a sentence. Wow. In the second treatise, Locke defines political power as a right of making laws with penalties of death and consequently all less penalties. 2 treatises, 2-3. An article published by the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy notes that Locke's theory of punishment is thus central to his views of politics and part of what he considered innovative about his political philosophy. He also talks about this, the right to preservation, which is if you feel that you have been wrong, if you feel that you have been mistreated, you have the right to defend yourself and take back what has been unjustly taken from you, has been wronged from you.
Locke also had a huge influence through his written work, A Letter Concerning Tolerance. It's considered one of the greatest defenses of religious liberty and libertarian ideas ever written. In this book, Locke essentially argues for separation of church and state, quoting that, "And such is the nature of the understanding that it cannot be compelled to the belief of anything by outward force." John Locke is on a list of important Enlightenment luminaries because of his great influence on just about everything. His main influence lies on the ideas of natural, inalienable rights. In another major work of his, Essay Concerning Human Understanding, he describes humans as white paper, void all character, more commonly known as the tabula rasa theory. This led to multiple new ideas, one being the beginnings of the nurture versus nature argument. Locke attested for the side that a child's environment, nurture, heavily influences their formation. This tabula rasa argument then leads to the possession of inalienable rights for every human, which Locke describes as life, liberty, and possessions.
Sounds familiar? That's because Locke's ideas heavily influenced our country's Declaration of Independence, and that the idea that every man is entitled to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Locke's second contribution lies in the structured government. As we referred to previously in the second treatise of government, Locke describes three branches of the government in a state: judicial, legislative, and executive, all which should essentially maintain the inalienable rights of men.
Again, sound familiar? This separation of powers is seen in the structure of the U.S. government today.
Although sometimes mistaken as a lost character, the impact of John Locke's contributions in the Enlightenment movement, government, and philosophy we still experience today. All men by nature are equal, Locke proclaimed over 300 years ago, yet equality is something so many continue to fight for today. It is our duty as a progressing society to take these once revolutionary ideas and move forward.